Hello, everybody, and welcome back into another edition of the Prospect Corner here at the Hockey Writers. Joined in by my co-hosts Peter Baracchini and Devin Little, as always. Thanks, guys, for coming on another show, talking prospects and the season just around the corner. How's it going? We'll start with you, Peter. How's it going this week?
Yeah, like you said, hockey's around the corner, but the big thing is OHL hockey's finally started. I know that the WHL was already underway about a week or so ago. OHL action is already underway, and I am loving every second of it.
Yeah, same here. There's a one Canucks prospect who I'll talk about as having a great start to his season. So Devin, how's it going this week? You see, you're in different background, different locale here right now. Fantasy season's around the corner, so how's it going?
Yeah, I'm in my bunker, so to speak. So I'm ready to do some fantasy drafting after this. But yeah, excited to be here with you both and talk some prospects, of course. Let's get going.
Right, yeah, let's get going. But before we do, of course, we always have to promote our Morning Skate newsletter here at the Hockey Writers, morningskate.io. Make sure checking that newsletter out. It comes to you. It's going to be pretty soon, Monday to Friday. You're going to be getting it in your inbox 5 days a week instead of the 3. So look forward to that. Lots of great stuff happening over there. Got some new segments as part of the newsletter. A new writer as well, and Brooke LaFerno, who you know as from Blackhawks Banter. She writes for the Blackhawks, so new writing there as well. So take a look at that. Morningskate.io. The description link is in the description below. Check that out, and also check out the Hockeypedia pages we have at the Hockey Writers. Renamed from the docs if you're in from the beginning. It is now Hockeypedia. Check that out. All the stats, profiles, teams, a whole bunch of stuff. We keep building that database every day. So check that out when you get a chance. That's a lot of stuff. It's in our articles as well, linked with the player name. So check that out as well. All right, let's get started with, or not get started, but continue our series of episodes where we're looking at underrated prospects in the divisions. And we've got the Pacific Division done. We've got the Metro done. We're on to the Atlantic Division, and there's a couple teams in here that Peter and Devin know very well because they cover them. So, but they're not the ones picking those teams for those teams this time. We've got a couple. No, I'll be giving ones for the Detroit Red Wings, and then Devin will grab the Toronto Maple Leafs. So, with that, let's get started with it. So we'll start at the top with the Florida Panthers, who won the division last season and looks to be a pretty strong team again. But the prospect pool is kind of, we don't know. It's not really that strong. It's not weak, but more in the middle. So, Peter, do you have someone that you want to kind of highlight that's more of an underrated prospect from the Florida Panthers?
Yeah, not necessarily highlighted underrated, because I was debating about doing either Casper Putio, who won top defenseman at the World Juniors, or Evan Niles, who I've always been a big fan of. But I'm gonna continue the direction of picking a prospect that needs to do a little bit more, and that's Grigory Denisenko. I'm always want to be optimistic and like give a positive spin on this, but at the same time, he needs to do more. He really does. Not necessarily like, I think he's at kind of that point where it's going to be make or break. 22. I know he's still young, but getting passed by in the depth chart. Obviously, not a lot of great production last season with 18 points in 30 games with the Charlotte Checkers, but this is a prospect that has great upside. He's got great speed and great skill, but he just hasn't packaged everything together to try and take that next step. And obviously with a team like the Florida Panthers that are like wanting to try and win now, and they need, probably some players to come up from the system and make an impact right now. Obviously, they lost Jonathan Huberdeau, but Matthew Tkachuk replaces him. Is there going to be a spot for him that he can try and battle and push someone down where he can earn a roster spot? Because I know, looking at their depth chart right now for wingers, on the left hand side now, it's Matthew Tkachuk, Duclair, and Ryan Lomberg, who are probably going to be the regulars on that left side. But then again, some of them are interchangeable in terms of wing positions, including Rudolph Balcers. So there's a lot of depth there, but he needs to try and do more to stand out and try and prove to the coaching staff that he belongs in the NHL. And he just really hasn't done that. Although 4 assists in 8 games played, 0.50 point per game. Again, decent, but still not enough. So I'm thinking that this is the time for him to try and take that big step.
Yeah, that's a guy we've talked about a few times as well in the show. And he's still got a lot of skill, like you said. So we'll see what he can do this season, and we'll keep tracking him as we go and tracking all these prospects we're going to mention. All right, Devin, Toronto Maple Leafs. Give us a prospect that's more of an underrated guy. And could it be someone we've mentioned already? So who do you got?
I was going to say, speaking of guys that we've mentioned a few times on the show, how about somebody we've mentioned 2 weeks in a row now, going on 3? Yeah, let's talk about Peter's boy, Alex Steeves, shall we?
Yes.
I passed this week. I'm good. There's a reason why Peter's been talking about this guy a couple of weeks in a row now, and the reason why I'm talking about him now. This is a player who was not drafted, right? And I find that when you're an undrafted player, you got to be scrappy, right? You got to really fight and claw your way to build a career for yourself as a professional hockey player. It's a cliche that, like, just because you're not drafted doesn't mean you're done, right? But the hill is tall when you're undrafted. And for Alex Steeves to come in, be undrafted, he's now signed by the Maple Leafs. And, going back to this past season with the Toronto Marlies in the AHL, he put up a really solid campaign, 46 points in 58 games. I'll take that any day of the week. And then to kind of, elaborate further, what's he been doing since last season? Well, he's been showing up in the prospect tournament in Traverse City. He's been showing up in preseason. This is a guy who, when we're talking about all the dudes, all the guys that could fill a role for the Toronto Maple Leafs, it low-key looks like Alex Steeves might be inserting himself into that conversation, and that's good on him. I still think he's got some work to do, as most 22-year-olds do. But I think that, if he continues on the trajectory he's on right now, he could be a real sneaky player that comes in and makes an impact, not for the Toronto Marlies, but for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And that's not a small feat, again, for an undrafted player, but also for a player that just wasn't on a whole lot of people's radars, even just a year ago. So good on Steeves for capturing Peter's attention, capturing my attention, and hopefully capturing your attention.
Yes. Well, like I say, now it's the trifecta. We've now mentioned him 3 episodes in a row, which I think that's the first. On the show. So, I've been impressed with him too. I think, and I'm always enamored by undrafted prospects that make their way into a point where you can say they could be an NHL player, which is amazing. And like I say, good on him for keeping it going, because it's easy to give up. Time after time you're passed over, and he's doing it, and he's on a cusp of could potentially even make the Maple Leafs roster, right, Peter? So it's going to be fun to watch what he can do with the Maple Leafs, or even if he does go back to the minors, what he can do to kind of push himself back and go back into the NHL. So guy to watch for sure. All right, well, I've got the Tampa Bay Lightning, who have made a living off getting these underrated prospects making the NHL. And this is another guy that could potentially do this. And this is Dylan Duke. He was, again, this was a guy that a lot of people thought he was going to be drafted way earlier. Second round, I believe we had him I'm pretty sure I had him in the second round. I'm not sure where you had him, Peter. But, went in the 4th round, 126th overall. Most likely, again, size 5'10", not overly small, but I guess smaller from the guys that are 6'1", 6'2", but he's got a lot of skill. He's a guy that doesn't get pushed off the puck very easy. He's a very relentless player. He's got a lot of skill in his game. Played for University of Michigan, which of course is a big school, one of the more prestigious NCAA schools out there. And he only had 10 goals, 41 games. But the thing is, that roster's stacked. Last season, just list them off, all their forwards that they had. Matty Beniers, they had Sam Miskevich, they had, there's more. There's a lot more. And, it's a guy that actually he still scored 10 goals, maybe a lower role. But now this season, he may end up being able to elevate it a bit. I mean, seems like Michigan's going to add a bit more guys this season. That's going to be elite as well. So we'll see what he does, but I think he's got some underrated skill that, the Lightning seem to be able to find these guys in these later rounds. And then all of a sudden they're like, where'd this guy come from? Why is he scoring 30 goals? I think he could end up being maybe not a 30 goal guy, but at least a 20. And that's what the Lightning have done throughout. And Dylan Duke's basically one of those guys going to do it as well. All right, Peter, you got Boston Bruins now, and there's another prospect pool that's iffy at the top. They don't have a lot of high-end guys, but give us an underrated guy. Maybe he is a high-end one in this system.
Yeah, if you're looking at me picking Fabian Lysell, I mean that's just an obvious one right now. But at the same time, yeah, they're aside from him, it's very, very weak. And I think the next one in line that maybe there should be some hope and potential with is Matthew Poitras, who was their 22nd second round pick. And I was a big fan of this pick, actually. I thought it kind of fits that mold of the Boston Bruins type pick, not in the sense of like being physical and scrappy, but being smart, calculated, and being intense on the puck and in battles. He does well to with his vision and his positioning and spotting his teammates, and he's off to a really great start right now in the OHL. Obviously, small sample, but in 2 games he's got 4 points, so he's off to a really great start with the Guelph Storm right now. So a lot of potential with him, especially as a centerman. He's got a very, very strong 2-way game. Maybe needs to work on his foot speed and agility a little bit more, but the hands are there, the creativity, the smarts. It's everything that you would want in a typical Boston Bruins type pick, especially in the centerman too. I mean, obviously I'm not going to try and compare him to Patrice Bergeron, but you know what? They did well with him as a second round pick. So maybe you can try and not necessarily replicate him into Bergeron, but getting, a really great prospect and potential piece up the middle of the ice for them in the future. Because I really liked what I saw from Poitras in his draft season. And I think the Bruins are going to like what they see from here on out as well.
Yeah, Poitras was one of the guys that I had an eye on in the draft too. So, lots of Matthews. I love,
yeah.
I love Matthews. Yeah, he's a guy that I think the Bruins got a pretty good pick there. So we'll see what he can do in the coming seasons. Right, Devin, Buffalo Sabres. Here's a strong prospect pool, and we went through it. We've said quite a few guys on this system. So give us an underrated prospect. They don't have many of them. I think they've got quite a few high end. But who do you got?
Yeah, I feel like if you printed out a list of the Buffalo Sabres prospects and you blindly threw a dart at it, you would hit like a blue chip prospect, because
6 or 7 at least.
Yeah, like there's that's a prospect pool to look out for. Holy cow. And Matt, you said that you like Matthews. Well, you know what name I like? I like the name Devin. And while he doesn't spell it the same way I spell mine, well, I'll forgive him, because I'm talking about Devin Levi, and Devin Levi is a hell of a goaltending prospect. Let me tell you. And we talked about this 3 weeks ago or something like that. If you're looking for goaltenders in the future, you might want to hit up the Buffalo Sabres, because they've got quite a few goaltending prospects. And I dare say that Levi is probably the one that if I was in charge of the Buffalo Sabres, I would say you can't touch, because this dude's been a brick wall basically anywhere he's played since even before he started college, really. Going back to the 2020 World Juniors, when he was with Team Canada, he had a 0.75 goals against average. What the heck is that? A 0.964 save percentage along with that, and 3 shutouts. Like, if you scored on him in that tournament, you won a gold medal, because holy cow, it was hard to do that. And then the next season, meaning this past season at Northeastern University, he had a 1.54 goals against average and a 0.952 save percentage. What? 10 shutouts? Like this, I don't understand how Northeastern didn't just like win everything, because this dude was stopping everything thrown his way. And I saw that firsthand, because in the first round of the NCAA tournament, they played against my Western Michigan Broncos, And Western got lucky that they got past him because it was a 2-1 game that I think they won in overtime because Levi would not be beaten. And it took everything in their power to get that second goal. He's already started his junior year, or maybe his sophomore year. COVID kind of messed that up at Northeastern, and he won his first game. He's got a .939 save percentage. What else is new? This dude's stopping everything. Long story short, it's funny because a lot of people talk about Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen as their top goaltending prospect. Portillo in there too. There's probably two other guys I'm not thinking of, but Devin Levi. They got the first round pick for Stam Reinhart in that trade with the Panthers, but they also got Devin Levi. And I would venture to say at this point, Devin Levi was the crown jewel of that trade because holy cow, Craig Anderson and Eric Comrie is kind of a weird goaltending tandem this year, but give it time because before long, they're going to have a dude in net who stops literally everything thrown at him.
Yeah, well, there's a reason I put him on that top prospects, goaltending prospects, and pretty high up there because I think so too. I think he's going to be a heck of a goaltender in the NHL. And again, undersized, but his athleticism is insane. And I think that's going to be fine. I think he'll be fine in the NHL. But when Buffalo got him, I think there was just like more of a throwaway. It was part of just an addition to that trade. It was like to the first round picks. But man, I think he's a big piece of that trade now.
Wasn't going to make his way up in Florida because Spencer Knight was there. Holy cow, did he land in a good situation?
Oh yeah.
I think they're set with goaltenders for a bit.
Heck yeah,
for sure. All right. Well, here it comes to the Detroit Red Wings, and there's a guy I've mentioned on the grind line a few times, and this is Emil Viro. And I love this defenseman. I've said this many times, and there was a few that I had tried to pick from. I could have picked Red Savage. I could have picked Soderblom, but Soderblom's not really underrated anymore. I think he's more of a bigger prospect now. But
he certainly is a big prospect.
He's a big literally. But Emil Viro is going to be, like I said on the grind line, he's one of those guys that you're not going to see, you're not going to notice a lot on the ice, but he's going to be a key guy to any championship you're going to have because he's going to be able to complement your more offensive defenseman. He's going to be a guy that you can throw in any situation and be like, okay, he'll be fine because he won't turn the puck over. He won't mess up plays. He'll be just pretty much mistake free. And that's very early on in his career, but he's gotten some, he's been really good in the prospect tournament. He was highlighted in there on the grind line. We were talking about him as well. And he's just a heck of a prospect defensively. And on a prospect pool that has Simon Edmondson as the top guy, I think he's in that tier. I mean, not too high, but I think he's more that mid. He's in the top 10. He's in the top 10 of prospects for the Red Wings right now. And I'm really excited to see what he can do in Grand Rapids this year. I'm hoping he gets some time in the NHL. Probably the Red Wings don't want that because the fact that means there's a bunch of injuries on the back end. But but I'm hoping to see him be a top guy in Grand Rapids because I'm really excited to see what he can do, even though he's not going to be a guy on highlight reels, but just watch him out there, be that Chris Tanev. I still think, more of that going to be that guy. So keep an eye out for Emil Viro in the future for sure.
I endorse that.
Yes. I thought so. I thought we were pretty good at saying that. All right, Peter, Ottawa Senators. And there's another strong prospect pool, and they could actually make the playoffs this year with what they've done. So what do you think about an underrated prospect from the Sens?
Giving me all the Leafs rivals. Thanks, Matt. First off, I want to give an honorable mention to Zach Ostapchuk. We were scratching our heads with one of those picks that the Sens made in 2021. Ostapchuk was one of them, but he looked great last season and a very strong World Junior tournament for him when it kicked off. But my pick is a player that I wrote a profile on, and I'm extremely glad that Ottawa took him, is Philip Nordberg. This is a player that I really, really like in terms of his overall two-way ability, including being very mobile and active on the attack. very smooth transitional skater, great shot, has the ability to he has the ability to smother players on defense and just close in on them, close off gaps, break up plays, get into lanes, and just do it all. If there's one thing that really needs to work on, is just making those reads and pinches. Can get a little bit aggressive and can get caught out of position, but when you have defenders Jacob Bernard Docker, Jake Sanderson, I should have started off with him, but you have good defenders in the system already. Even Thomas Hamara, I thought that was another great selection, but I think he was more of a top name in that draft. But Norberg was more of those mid-round picks that you could probably find something and turn something into. I think the Senators can do that with him. I think he's got a lot of potential and upside. So look out for him, because I think he's even off to a really good start in the J20 level this season with 4 points in 9 games already. So production wise, already looking good.
Awesome. Yeah, I like that pick of the Senators as well. Again, the Senators they need help on defense for young guys. So if he can come up and do that too, I think that would be pretty good. All right, Devin was finishing off with the Montreal Canadiens, and they got Yaroslav Slavkovsky first overall this past draft, and a few other really good prospects. So who do you got as an underrated guy in their system?
He's underrated right now. And I think that as training camp goes on and maybe even the season goes on, I think he's going to be less and less underrated. And that's a guy who's, I'm talking about Emil Heineman. We're talking about Emil Heineman. And it's weird. He's a weird prospect because he's already been traded. He's already been traded twice. And that's usually a bad sign when it comes to prospects. This is a guy who was drafted in the second round by the Florida Panthers, traded to the Calgary Flames, and the Calgary Flames traded him to the Canadiens. Here we are now. This is a player who this past season in the SHL didn't rock anyone's world or anything, but he put up a solid 11 goals and 16 points in 38 games. That's a really hard league to score in. And for him to put up 11 points as a 20-year-old, not too shabby. And now now that he's here in North America, he's taking part in preseason and training camp with the Canadiens. He's been a player who Montreal media has really been highlighting and saying this dude's really showing some growth. Holy cow. He's got a really lethal shot, powerful shot, which is kind of surprising given he's not a big dude. He's kind of a little lanky, but he's got some real power behind that shot. He's accurate with it. So he could, if he continues to develop and, hone in on that shot, it could be a real weapon for him. And he could end up being a top six shooter. I don't know if that is what he's going to be, but with his shooting skill alone, I think that he has that in him. I still think he has a lot to work on when it comes to his two-way play. Most prospects do at this age, but he's someone who's shown a lot of improvement over the last year or so, especially since being traded to the Canadiens. And just, I have an article in front of me real quick. I want to read just a little excerpt real quick because I think it shows what he's doing from the Canadiens right now as far as preseason is concerned. With Heineman on the ice, the Canadiens have managed to control 69% of the shots, 86% of the scoring chances, and 70% of the expected goals. It comes as little surprise that he's leading all of his teammates in the aforementioned statistical categories. This dude, when he's on the ice, the puck is in the O-zone. It's nowhere else. And that is where you want the puck to be when you have offensive players on the ice, right? I think that he's going to play in the AHL this year. I think that's where he starts. I think that's where he plays the bulk of the year in Laval over there. But I think that if he continues to show the progress he's showing, he could be a sneaky little player that sneaks into Montreal's lineup, especially if injuries kind of start to pile up. So while, yes, you should absolutely be elated about Yaroslav Slavkovsky if you're a Montreal Canadiens fan, I also think that this Heineman kid is someone to keep your eyes on because before long, he might be somebody that you might want to buy his jersey because he's a little engine who's starting to really put his name on the map.
Yeah, and he was in the trade, Tyler Toffoli trade. People thought maybe a throw-in. I don't know, but yeah, because that first round pick was the one they really wanted.
I'm covering all the throw-in guys because Devin Levi, Emil Heineman.
But again, it doesn't seem like a throw-in right now. He's actually becoming a pretty good prospect for the team. So yeah, keep an eye on him for sure. All right, well, let's finish this off. This is going to be a tough one because they've got quite a few good prospects in this. I mean, there may be some obvious ones. So who do you think will have the biggest season from this division? Peter, we'll start with you.
Yeah, some prospects had that chance to possibly make this team. Others, they're kind of on the fence. You don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, I think the biggest prospect you have to look at that has that, solidified chance is going to be Owen Power. I mean, number one pick for a reason, looked great last season when he signed his ELC. He played great in those 8 games. Has that chance now to, make that impact and be that top defenseman. Well, they do have Rasmus Dahlin, but be another top defenseman or cornerstone defenseman in that system that, has a lot of upside potential, can play that solid 2-way game. And, you hate to try and just pick one, like the top name, but that's just realistic. It's more wide open in other divisions, but I think right now the Atlantic, I think you have 1 or 2 or 3 names that are standing out, and I think most of them are probably going to be on the Sabres compared to other teams like the Maple Leafs, where you only possibly have one like Nick Robertson. Boston Bruins, you don't know if Fabian Lysell is going to join the NHL. He's probably going to go to the AHL, maybe W, I don't know, but probably A. So a lot of ups and downs, but I'm just going to pick the safe bet and pick Owen Power because the Sabres know what they're getting, and we know what we're going to see with him.
Yeah, that's a good bet. I think Power's going to be in that Calder Trophy conversation as well. So
For sure.
We'll see what happens. Devin, is it Power or do you have someone else in mind?
Well, I'm torn between 2, and one of them is Power. And so instead of kind of piling on and just echoing what Peter just said, I'll highlight the other guy I'm torn between, and that is Jake Sanderson of the Ottawa Senators. Senators.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, you just said when we were talking about the Senators that they need help on the blue line, and I think that help is coming in the form of Jake Sanderson. Drafted 5th overall for a reason, right? This is a defenseman who carried big minutes when he played at the University of North Dakota, and that's an elite hockey program as far as the collegiate circuit is concerned. He's like I said, drafted 5th overall for a reason. I think that this a lot of people are excited about the Ottawa Senators this year, and for good reason, right? They added DeBrincat, they added Giroux, added Cam Talbot. They should be a team that's in the mix this year. But I think that in order for them to really, be a playoff contender, they need a push from young players, and for players like a Jake Sanderson to emerge as like legitimate NHL top 4 defensemen. To kind of backtrack here, like you said, they need help on defense. If Jake Sanderson can live up to his potential, or at least start to really, make progress towards his potential this season, that's going to help them, and that's going to make them a really dangerous team in the Atlantic Division. So I think, I don't know if Jake Sanderson's going to be a Calder guy. I wouldn't count him out per se, but I do think that if all goes well for him, he's going to make a big impact for the Ottawa Senators this year and the Atlantic Division as a whole, as an effect, basically.
Yeah, well, he looks really good against the Maple Leafs, against some pretty high talent going against. So, he definitely has the potential, and we've, injuries have kind of derailed that last couple seasons here.
Yep.
But I still think he has a ton of potential, like you said. So, yeah, Sanderson's a good choice, maybe under the radar choice in this division. So we'll see. For me, I mean, there's quite a few names that I'm kind of looking at. And, I said on the grind line, I said Soderblom's going to score 25 goals, a bold prediction. I'm going to actually put him in this discussion here. Maybe a really dark horse, but he's a big dark horse. We'll see. He's been really impressive in preseason and training camp. So I'm excited to see what he can do in the NHL and once the season starts, because I think he's got a lot of potential this year. If not this year, it's going to be very soon. So
for sure.
I'm going to say Soderblom here, just as maybe if I'm right, I'll go back to this clip and say.
I'm telling you, Matt, you're the biggest believer out of any of us, and
yeah.
We get you a Wings jersey.
We'll see. All right. Well, let's move to our quick fire round here. And Peter, you've got the reins. Let's go. Let's see what you got for us.
All right. Let's hope I can match what you guys did, because it was pretty tough coming up with these questions. I'm not going to lie. So here we go. Rapid fire. Let's go. For Yuri Slafkovsky, there's been a lot of talk about his play recently in preseason, how it was a little bit underwhelming, according to the GM. Where does he start off, or where should he play this season? NHL, AHL, or be sent back to the Liga? Devin, I see you thinking hard right now. I'm going to start with you.
Of course. I don't think you send him back to the Liga. I think you keep him in North America. You know what? With where we are right now, I will say you start him in the AHL and you bring him up once he has some confidence going.
Great answer. Matt, what do you think?
I'm the way he's looking in preseason, I'm gonna say the AHL. Get him started there, like you said, get some North American ice, see how he can do there, and then if he performs, bring him up. But right now, I think AHL is the best place for him. You don't send him overseas for sure.
I would probably do the same thing. I'd probably start him in the AHL. There was talk about sending him into the Liga where maybe you can try and like get his offensive game against the pro competition again, maybe get that started. But I think either way, might as well get that 2-1 with the NHL experience here while still playing well against pro competition in the AHL. So I think that would probably be the best bet as well. Moving on, Maple Leafs question for you guys, and I want to get your take on this. Nick Robertson's been standing out so far in this preseason. Does he make the roster, and can he match his brother's Jason production, rookie production in his first season? Not last season's production of 79 points, his rookie production of 45 points in 51 games. Matt, I'm going to start with you.
Oh gosh. I'm going to say he does make the lineup. But I don't think he hits that 41 points unless he can consistently play on a second line. I think he has the potential just because of the talent he's got around him. But he makes the lineup, but does not hit that numbers.
Devin, you agree?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Matt. I think he absolutely needs to make the roster, right? I think it's kind of a big year for him. But as for production-wise, I think that his brother is a whole different animal right now. So I'm going to say he can't match his brother quite yet.
And that's why I said rookie production. I wasn't going to go out.
Yeah.
It would be unrealistic for me, even as a Leaf writer, to say that Nick Robertson's going to score 79 points. But yeah, I do think he has a good chance to make this roster. Now, whether he gets that top 6 minutes consistently, that's going to be the big factor. If he can, absolutely. I think he does hit that 40-point mark. Maybe not surpass it, but I think he could match it within that range if he's playing with Tavares when he comes back and William Nylander, because he is an 80-point guy. If he's going to start off in that, third, fourth line and then maybe work his way up, I don't think that's the right way to go. You want to see what he can do right now. So if he's going to get those consistent top 6 minutes, then yes. But again, kind of like you, to be determined at this point.
I do want to say real quick, now that I've thought about it just a little bit more, I think that if he's in a top 6 role where he's going to play alongside like the best offensive players on this team, I think he definitely could match it. And the reason why is because of Michael Bunting's season last year. I think Robertson has a higher ceiling than Michael Bunting, and we know what Bunting did last season. So
should have been rookie of the year. No, I'm just joking. Speaking of the rookie of the year, we're going to the team that Mort Seider plays for, the Detroit Red Wings. Devin, I'm going to start this off with you. Which Red Wing prospect will have the better season if they make the NHL? Jonathan Berggren or Elmer Soderblom?
Ooh.
This probably isn't fair, I know, but this is me being the evil quiz master.
Define better.
Who gets the most points?
I'm gonna say. Okay, real quick. Can you read the question one more time? I'm sorry.
Which prospect will have the better season? And to clarify, point wise, not overall play, but point wise, Berggren or Soderblom?
I'm gonna say Soderblom, and the only reason why is because I think that he has a better chance of starting with the team right away, whereas Berggren I think is going to start in the AHL and then make his way up. So I think Soderblom has more points just because he has more opportunity to have more points.
Interesting. Matt, Berggren had a really strong AHL season last year. Who's going to have the better season, do you think?
Well, I'm sticking to my guns here. I said Soderblom's getting 25 goals, so he would have to be unless Berggren scores more. So I'm going with Soderblom here. I really have a lot of confidence in this kid. I think he may not hit the 25. That's bold prediction, but he's gonna have a better season than Berggren, I think.
And to end this off, I'm going to do a daily double of Buffalo Sabres. So I'm going to start this off with you, Matt. If you had to pick between one of the two goalies to start, Devin Levi or Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, who would you go with?
Oh, God. Okay, clarify this. Where are they in their career? Are they in what they're right now? Or are they both in their prime?
Let's go with let's look to the future in their prime. I know it's a little bit, foreshadowing a bit too much or looking too much in the future, but let's go within their prime.
Okay, I'll go Devin Levi then. I think he's going to be a superstar goaltender in this league. I mean, Pekka Luukkonen is going to be good, but I don't see that potential in him. I just really see Levi hitting, like maybe not just Sturkin type, but he's going to be a really solid, like a Thatcher Demko type goaltender for the Sabres.
Devin?
Yeah, I'll give you another goalie that I think of when I think of Devin Levi, UC Saros.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I like what you said there, Matt. I do think Pekka Luukkonen, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen could be a really good goalie. I think Devin Levi could be a really great goalie. So I'm going to say Levi.
Yeah, I think Levi does have that edge. I mean, Pekka Luukkonen is already getting that NHL experience right now, but I think when Levi is done his collegiate experience and he's coming over here, I think he's going to be the one to take over the reins at some point.
Yeah.
And the second daily double question regarding the Buffalo Sabres, not named Owen Power, which prospect is going to have the biggest impact for the Sabres? Devin?
Holy.
I think I did a good job this
That's
time.
A good one.
I was doubting myself.
Jack Quinn. He had a really good year in the season. I think that he has a good opportunity to put up some numbers with the Sabres this year.
Yeah, definitely not a bad answer, Matt.
Yeah, I go JJ Peterka.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to be, again, he was really good in the AHL last season too. And I believe he was one that teamed up with Jack Quinn and that top line for Rochester. So I don't know. I think he's going to have a really good season if, plays consistently in the NHL this year.
Yeah, and nothing against Jack Quinn. I think he's going to be tremendous, but I think Peterka, with his energy and, the high-end work ethic that he plays with consistently, again, not to say that Jack Quinn doesn't, I think it's going to be a bit more of a factor for the Sabres going forward. And again, Jack Quinn's lethal shot is definitely going to be huge, especially on that offense, the top six right now. So definitely going to be fun if you're the Buffalo Sabres right now. And that comes to the end of that rapid fire segment or quick fire segment. I know I probably gave tougher questions than I thought I did, but
you're a cruel man, Peter.
Oh, wow. I thought you guys were cruel. Oh, man.
No, that was a good one.
It was good.
Yeah. And they are tough to come up with. You don't want to do easy softball ones. You want to have a little bit of a thought, but yeah, it's tough. But yeah,
I could have easily have just said, why is Simon Edvinsson so good? That's probably an easy answer right there, but
yeah.
Well, we've gone through a trio here, so back to me next week. Yep. So I gotta figure out some things. Hopefully the NHL gives me some good stuff to happen around that. I think there may be Jason Robertson question in there, but he's not a prospect, which kind of doesn't fit here. He may have to go into the regular quick fire. All right. Well, that was fun. Another quick fire in the books, and I think it's a great segment to keep going. So we'll have that for you again next week, and we'll keep going through this.
Watch us get mad at each other every week.
Yeah. Right.
Friendships will be destroyed.
All right. Well, let's get to the last segment of the show, as we always do, is our prospects of the week. And we've got some games talk about for a lot of these players. So one guy that I'll start right now because I'm really excited about this guy, and got traded to the Peterborough Petes and has started off ridiculous. He's got 6 points in 2 games, and this is Connor Lockhart. Canucks drafted him last season and the later rounds, but he's off to like I say, 6 points in 2 games. He has a goal and 5 assists. He's just high energy player, again, undersized, but really creative. Really guy that gets in on the forecheck really good. He's one of the guys that you hate to play against. And like I say, he's got some point production to start off the season with the Petes. And the Petes didn't do very well last season, so they need all the help they can get. And they got Lockhart to do just this. And having 6 points in his first 2 games is pretty good. I think they're really happy with what they got from him. If he can keep doing that throughout the season, I think it's gonna be fun. So keep an eye on Lockhart all season because I am really excited. I was excited when they drafted him, and he had a really good season in Erie last year, and it's moving over. Next, they moved over to the Peterborough Petes now, and so it looks to be one of their star players to start. And for a team that lost Mason McTavish, unfortunately, again they had to trade him away. They got Lockhart, who's not the same level as him, obviously, but looks like he's going to be putting up some points. So Lockhart's my prospect of the week. All right, Devin, we'll go to you next. What is your prospect of the week this week?
I'm going to talk about a prospect that is regarded around my parts as Steve Yzerman's lone misstep as Detroit's general manager. That is defenseman Alec Regula. And the reason why I'm highlighting him this week is because over the past week, the Red Wings have played against the Chicago Blackhawks twice in the preseason. And that is who Regula plays for now, is the Chicago Blackhawks. He was originally drafted by the Red Wings back in 2018, 67th overall. He's a Michigan-born kid who grew up cheering for the Red Wings. And in Yzerman's first year, he traded him to the Blackhawks for Brendan Perlini. You can tell me how that trade worked out. Now, which is proof that even the greatest GMs make their mistakes. But this is a big dude. He's 6'4", over 200 pounds. He's surprisingly mobile for a dude that big. He's a defenseman. He's really good at carrying the puck, really good at protecting the puck, really good at moving the puck, which if you lay all those out, that's pretty much what you want from a modern day defenseman, right? This is a kid who I think has a real good shot, even just from watching him play against the Red Wings this past week. I think he has a real good shot of sticking with the Blackhawks this year, especially as they're, trying to, start to get younger on just throughout their lineup and start to, move out older guys and move in younger pieces. I think that this is a kid who, he's not going to, I don't think he's going to be a Calder candidate. In fact, you'd probably make a lot of money if you bet on Alec Regula to win the Calder Trophy this year. But I do think he's going to be somebody who, by the end of the year, he's looked at as kind of a potential, legitimate piece of their rebuild going forward. And that's, again, coming from across Lake Michigan. So you're welcome, Chicago. But yeah, looking forward to seeing what Regula does with the Blackhawks this year. If he does stick with them, I think he will. But if he doesn't, he's going to light up the AHL, because look out, this dude looks like he's ready to go. He's ready to make a difference at the NHL level. So shout out to any Blackhawks fans. I know you miss Greg. I'm here. I'll shout out your boy Regula.
Yeah, he's, the Blackhawks gonna have a lot of chances for younger players this year too, because they're rebuilding. They don't a lot of veteran guys there, so Regula could have a chance to make that lineup and be a significant part of it. So yeah, keep an eye on him for sure. All right, Peter, finishing off with you. Who do you got as a prospect of the week?
My prospect of the week is Anaheim Ducks first round pick in 2022, Pavel Mintyukov. This is a player who really, really played exceptionally well last season offensively. He was 3rd overall in defenseman among scoring with 62 points. Already tied for first this season with Ty Nelson, who was drafted in the 3rd round by the Seattle Kraken, and they're just absolutely loving that pick right now as well. But Mintyukov already has 5 points in 2 games, including a 5-point game. Well, all of his points came in 1 game against the Guelph Storm. Went pointless in the first one, but that Guelph Storm game was a high scoring affair and a very chippy and entertaining one, to say the least, between the two teams. I think they don't like each other that much right now. But Mintyukov was showing off what made him so special: his playmaking, his ability to join the rush, his offensive instincts, and something that the Anaheim Ducks really like to take him into the top 10. So I was fascinated with his offensive play already. He's whatever he did last season is carried over to this season, and he's just playing absolutely well. And mini shout out to Michael Misa, Mintyukov's teammate, who was the first overall pick in the OHL draft, and he had a standout game with his first 2 goals. So congrats to him on that. But Mintyukov, my prospect of the week. Misa, great honorable mention.
Nice. Yeah, Mintyukov, well, added to the many Ducks great defenseman prospects that they have. So it's no surprise he's starting off his next season off on the right foot. So again, another guy we're going to keep an eye on throughout the season, along with all the other and Misa's not till 2024.
Yeah, I know he's got a few more years.
Yeah. So, but here's another guy. So
granted exceptional status too. So another one to keep an eye out, definitely.
Yeah. All right. Well, there's another prospect of the week, and like I say, we'll be doing this all season long. And once we got games going, leagues are going on, NHL's starting next week, so lots of fun to come. So keep an eye on all these guys throughout the season, and we'll do that for you as well, and keep talking about them. So thanks for joining us for another Prospect Corner here at the Hockey Writers. Thanks, Peter. Thanks, Devin, for joining again and talking prospects, youngsters, and all that stuff. So make sure you're checking out all our writing as we go. And once the draft coverage starts, that's going to be pretty soon. Next few months, we already got some rankings out. Peter just released his top 32. So Devin, you're on the clock. You better get your top 32 out. I guess I am too, because I guess I got to get into that.
Now, Matt.
Yeah. But Andrew also put out a great consensus rankings as well, and kind of pooled all Devin, Peter, and his rankings together. So check that out at the Hockey Writers too, because that's a great read. If you want draft coverage already, which a lot of people seem to really early on, and love watching the young players and prospects. So we'll keep doing that as well. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time on the Prospect Corner.